Hooey, my, lots and lots of editing going on on this topic. You picked a good one. You picked a really good one. First of all, I just want to say welcome back. I knew you'd come back. I'm glad you did. Where to start? Well, stereotypes. I'm going to give you my version from where I sit in Canada. And I can tell you that personally, I don't hate Americans. I don't think they're stupid, not by any stretch of the imagination. The U.S. has contributed way too much to the world as a whole for anyone to be able to say they were stupid. So if we're talking an intelligence level, no, I don't think that fits at all. I don't, and anyone who would say that they are, I think is probably just saying it out of anger, because quite literally, it's not the case. I'm going to talk to you from a Canadian point of view. When people make those rude comments, TJ, I don't think that they are making rude comments particularly pointed at U.S. citizens. I think that people make attacks on U.S. citizens personally because the U.S. citizens support their government. Or I'm going to say 50%, because that's about what the vote is. 50% of U.S. citizens support their government, and rightfully so. I mean, gosh, your country's like one of the largest, and of course there's going to be people who are going to back up the government, and why not? So I don't think you should take those comments personally. When people are saying stupid Americans, when people are saying you Americans, I really do think that those comments are pointed at your government and not at your people. I have extensively traveled through the U.S. I've been to most of the states, most of the continental states, and I can tell you that I have never been treated any less than kind in all those places that I've been. I, of course, have met idiots in those cities, but you know what? I've met a lot of idiots in my own city, and I don't think that whether you're American or Canadian or from any other country really has any bearing on whether someone hates you or not. I really think it has more to do with the government and foreign policy than anything else. And if they are pointed at the people, you just gotta take it from where it comes, because, you know, anyone knows that it's just really narrow-minded to paint the entire world with one brush, nonetheless one country. The cultural differences between Canada and the US are absolutely apparent. And I think that when Americans feel that the rest of the world is hating them, what they're feeling is likely that the rest of the world is hating their government. Because what your government does affects the rest of the world. And being in Canada, when you drop the pebble, we feel the first ripple, and it's usually a big one. And I don't think that other countries hate the U.S. or hate its people. I think that other countries look at the U.S.'s government and say, what are you doing? Like, what are you thinking? I guess we get a little annoyed with the fact that when Bush goes on a tangent, he drags the rest of our butts along with him. You know, there are a bunch of stereotypes out there about Canadians, that we drink too much beer and we say which I don't think you've heard me say in a video yet. There's a lot of different stereotypes out there about us, and I quite honestly couldn't care less what anybody thinks. I like where I live, I know who I am, I'm comfortable with who I am, and chances are anybody who says anything like that about me doesn't really know me. Whatever. You're entitled to your opinion. You know, I've heard on the news, I've heard some controversial public figured Americans mention that Canada is like the retarded cousin you pat on the head at Christmas dinner. Quite honestly, I had to laugh because I just thought it was probably the most ignorant, narrow-minded, and stupid thing I've heard in my entire life. But funny as hell. You know, we just don't take ourselves that seriously, and quite honestly, I couldn't give a damn if some guy in any country thought that about my country. I really don't care, because I know that that's not me, an educated woman that lives in central Canada. And so what some face on the TV says that I don't even know who he is and where he lives, or even if he has any bit of an education, his opinion doesn't mean anything to me. I don't know why it should. I don't know why he thought it might. I live in a socialist society. A socialist society is the place between communism and capitalism. It's right smack dab in the middle. And a lot of Canadians will tell you that that's not true. But by definition, we do live in a socialist society. And a lot of people who live in their capitalist society are offended by that. They're offended by me, a Canadian living in a socialist society that absolutely loves it. I love my country. I love what my country stands for. I love that we are a peacekeeping country. I love that we take care of each other. I love that our government is willing to put money towards our healthcare system, so we as Canadians don't have to worry if we lose our job tomorrow. We can still make sure that our children have the care that they are deserved of. I believe that Canada looks out for its people. I just think that one side of the pendulum is way too far from the other side of the pendulum, and you're always going to have people who are going to swing one way or the other. I personally like to play Switzerland. I think that there is something to be said for being in the middle and getting the benefit of all things around you. It's just a completely different culture. Every man for himself, helping each other, you know? So just remember, when you hear people saying, I hate Americans, I don't think they really do. I don't think that they hate Americans. I think that they hate the American government. I think that the government and their direction, or lack thereof, probably has a bigger impact on the world than any one individual American does. And when we see news as Canadians about Americans, it's usually about the US government, it's usually about foreign policy, it's about war. It's not about the individual American who's working his butt off to try and make a life for his family and feed his children or just be happy in his life. It's not him that we're seeing. We're not seeing the kind and sweet people. We rarely get to see do-gooders on TV. We rarely get to see the real American people. We're just always getting pushed in our faces with the stupid government policies. And that's likely, it sheds quite heavily on the population. It does. And so when you get those comments, don't take them so seriously, because I think that people are being angry about the way the US and Bush are affecting their country or the way they live, rather than any one individual. Because you're a pretty cool guy, and I've met so many cool Americans. I have lots of Americans who are friends. Okay, so that's it from here. Gosh, I rambled long enough, didn't I? I think this is the longest video I've ever made. And gosh, there was a lot of editing. Anyways, thanks for the video. Thanks for the great topic. Hope I didn't bore you. And if you made it to here, thanks. Ciao.